4 isn't too bad, I guess. The Royal Rumble officially marks the beginning of the road to WrestleMania for WrestleMania 42. And let's just get straight into the Rumble itself. The show itself started off much like every other WWE show nowadays, with shots of the wrestlers arriving backstage earlier in the day. It's at this point that we do get a bit of an awkward shot as cutting from one shot to another. The camera pans out from Nia Jax's boobs, which, considering where they were in Saudi Arabia, awkward. But besides that, we've got a thing. Anyway, it's been about 3 minutes since the broadcast. We need to see Triple H as we see him arrive into the arena. Got to remember, guys, it's not about him. He's very humble, okay? It's a new era. It's not about him. Which then smoothly brings us into an video package for the show, narrated by Triple H, as well as having Triple H all over it. But you've got to remember, it's not about him. Just very humble. We kicked off the show properly with the Women's Royal Rumble, as well they always do. You start with one Rumble, you finish with one Rumble, most likely. So this year's was the women's one, or should I say the Power Rangers one, as we all expected, every single woman in this Rumble came out in basically a Power Rangers outfit. That's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just we knew this is what it is because there's limitations out there. But at least the women were able to decorate and customize their outfits to not just look like they're either the Red Ranger, Blue Ranger, or the Pink Ranger. But the actual Rumble itself saw entrant number 1, the winner of last year's Rumble, Charlotte Flair, only for her tag team partner Alexa Bliss to draw the entrant number 2 spot. This led to a fun spot of hesitation from Flair, thinking about WrestleMania more than their friendship, which then led to Bliss wanting to work as a team before both teasing eliminating each other or hitting moves on each other before deciding to work as a team, which you should when you're a tag team in a Rumble. Work as a team, you then can eliminate everyone and then settle it when you're last two. This is a foreshadowing of what would come a bit later in the match. Which, again, like I said, working as a team, that's great, but which is very puzzling as they don't actually work well as a team, as entrant number 3 is Kiana James, and they didn't decide to eliminate her straight away, as they just beat her up a bit and then just left her. Why not throw her out straight away? Who knows? This kind of set the tone as well for the match as a whole, for a lot of this Women's Rumble, as it was, here's someone, runs down, goes wild for a bit, and just settles in the corner, ready for the next entrant to do the exact same. This does prove a bit of a problem, as later in the match, as I'll mention, the ring is completely crammed by the end of the match, which is very unheard of for a Rumble. And as we don't get any eliminations until number 8, Jordan Grace, who was dressed head to toe like one of those magic eye pictures with all the gems and that, and it just, ooh, bloody hell. And she picks up the first couple of eliminations, eliminating Candice LeRae, Lola Vice, and Ivy Nile, before, again, like I said, just blending into the mix. This then would bring us to the first and probably best spot in this year's Women's Rumble, which honestly is not hard when there was not much in here for the first third. You had where Bliss and Flair look to eliminate Nia Jax together before both Jax and Bliss end up on the apron, only for Flair to nail Jax with a big boot, eliminating her, but in doing so knocks Bliss off her friend, her tag team partner, who she tries to save, and they do the whole trying to catch imagine Shawn Michaels from the Royal Rumble 2010 when he got knocked off by Batista and he's desperately trying to grab the ropes before he falls. It's that, but with like Charlotte trying to save Alexa as she falls. In doing so, she's just eliminated her own tag team partner, and the selling of this by Flair, who's buries her head in her arms, leaning on the ropes, disbelieved in the fact that she's just eliminated her friend and her tag team partner, which is perfectly then leads us into number 9, Becky Lynch. As the second her music hits, Flair raises her head and it's pure hate and anger directed at the man, and it's brilliant. Like I said, best spot of the whole Rumble, I think. And yeah, we get Becky and Charlotte going at it for a bit. This then leads to them settling down for a bit, as then we get number 1. Yes, number 1. The first of many botches in this Royal Rumble as a show, not just this match, as a show, as technically number 11, but according to the graphic bar at the bottom, it was number 1. Roxanne Perez from the Judgment Day comes out cosplaying as Shigo from Kim Possible as well. So entry number 1 is actually number 11 because the beginning of the production botches of this night. As another thing that is another production botch that I noticed was every time the counter hit 0, before it went off and they had a chance to take it off the screen, it would automatically go back to 11 seconds as the person is coming out, so you could still see when they were resetting it as well. Like I said, bad night production wise, terrible night. And as we start getting into the middle section of the Rumble, nothing really happened, as besides the ring, like I said, really starts filling up, and we get a slight interaction as Becky and Maxine Dupree comes out, picking up their feud from over the IC title that finished months ago, only for Natty to come out, and then we get Maxine gets eliminated by Becky, not Natty, who she's feuding with, only for then Lynch to just get unceremoniously eliminated by Natty out of nowhere. She doesn't last that long, and it's played up like it might have been a botch elimination, but also it very clearly was an elimination. But it just felt, oh, okay, there we go. So yeah, Becky just is almost like an in and out sort of entrant in this year's Rumble. But then we did get some good comedy moments through through this part with all three members of Judgment Day are tearing through the ring. They're taking control, only for Chelsea Green to come out at number 18, where she quickly regrets interacting with the three and tries to escape, only for the Judgment Day to drag her back into the ring whilst holding on to Alba Fire, dragging her into the ring as well. Keep in mind, Alba Fire is not legally entered in the Rumble, but she still gets eliminated by Raquel, who dumps her over the top rope. So, despite not being in the match, we still got Alba Fire getting eliminated by the Rumble. It was a fun little spot, and like I said, for me, anything that Chelsea does, 9 times out of 10, does get a laugh out of me. But luckily, though, the final third of the match is where the match really, like, stupidly starts beginning to pick up and saves the match from being a complete mid-match, as we get an influx of tag teams, including the champions of EO and Rio at number 20 and 22 respectively, with others slowly drip feeding in more and more, with fun spots being when the Kabuki Warriors attempt to eliminate Sky but missing, and Sane accidentally not stops herself from accidentally eliminating Asuka, but then Kairi gets pushed into Asuka, knocking her off, which was a fun spot. But sadly, the camera does miss Asuka yelling "Kylie" up at her, which would have been great and furthered their story. And then we got obviously Bayley and Lyra who interacted, but more notable was Nikki Bella and number 25, and in the biggest reaction of the whole match, the whole night of this Women's Rumble, the biggest reaction went to number 29, the return of Brie Bella, which is so sad that she got the biggest reaction. And it's the Saudi crowd, that's who they recognise and get it. But yeah, when Brie Bella is the biggest reaction of this whole show. Also, the fact that both Bellas were cosplaying like the twins out of Cars as well, because, you know, we got to find some way of customizing it, and, you know, fair enough. But moving on from there was 2 performances in this match that are so worth mentioning and stood out. From Sol Rucker, who lasted all the way to the final 3, and then there was the dominant run of Lash Legend, who had to go it alone because Nia had been eliminated earlier in the match, but she held her own, and she just went on a dominant streak of her own, getting her own eliminations of eliminating Brie and Nikki, Io, Jordan Grace, and Charlotte Flair, which was incredible. She really looked dominant and had a great big monster heel performance in the latter part of the Rumble. This then brings us to the closing moments of the Rumble itself, which is great, as Raquel eliminates Ripley with a Tahana bomb that looked painful to take, only for her to get dumped over the top rope and eliminated by Liv in what was a recreation of Shawn and Diesel from the 96 Rumble, of Diesel just eliminated whoever he eliminated, only to turn around into a super kick by Shawn and be eliminated. This then leaves us with the final 3 of Liv, Sol Rucker, and the returning Tiffany Stratton at number 30. So there was no Bianca Belair at all in this match, at all. Which they kept up with the parts of Rooker being really good, and she gets a double soul snatch on the two, which leads to getting all on the apron, a little bit of back and forth before Soul attempts to do another soul snatcher on Tiffy, who pushes her to the side, eliminating her, and then we get an Oblivion from Liv to Tiffy, eliminating Tiffy. So your winner of the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble is Liv Morgan. Finally, she's won it after getting so close in previous years. She's won it. And overall, this Women's Rumble, I would have to say it was average. It was a fine Rumble. The first two thirds really were lacking, but that final third saved it from being a mid to bad Rumble for me. And that last 5-10 minutes really picked up and was great. Following the Women's Royal Rumble, we got, and I can't believe this is in the middle of the card, Gunther versus AJ Styles. And if AJ Styles loses, he must retire from in-ring competition. In what was both the best match on the card and also a super emotional match as well, with John Cena's retirement still fresh in so many minds. They wouldn't do another retirement angle this close to the previous one, especially with when this match of Gunther and Styles with this stipulation has only had 2 weeks of build, but with all the evidence telling us AJ is done, and down to the fact that Styles himself came out and said 2026 would be his last year as a in-ring competitor, surely not this soon into the year, right? The match itself, though, was great, doing what you'd expect, with Gunther dominating Styles, making him come back, with Styles making the comeback before Gunther is too much for Styles in the end. But that's not a bad thing, because these two take you on such an emotional journey, and props must be given to the crowd, who overall were bizarre over this whole card. But in this match specifically, they knew exactly what to do. They knew to boo Gunther and cheer AJ. So they really did play a perfect role in this match. The match started off, like I said, with Gunther in control, with the action spilling out to the outside, where Styles ends up getting a bad cut on his forearm, possibly from a bump onto the announce table, because it's around the announce table area they go, and then afterwards he does get the cut, and it's quite bad looking at it. Hopefully that nothing went wrong. This leads to Gunther maintaining control of the match for a while before AJ makes a comeback looking incredible without missing a step. It's also around this point that we get a great spot of Gunther stuck in the calf crusher, only for him to transition it into a sleeper hold, which brings me onto the fact that Gunther is such a perfect heel wrestler, working over the crowd, and he's a great foil for a babyface to try and overcome. And that's why Gunther is the best, absolute the best wrestler in WWE. That's just how I feel. After turning AJ Styles' chest completely red, looking like it's about to blow up, the match began to become more like the Cena's final match, with Gunther slowly working over AJ over and over, who refuses to give up and gives Gunther everything he's got. But in the end, it didn't matter after a lovely transition from Styles in an electric chair position into the sleeper, which looked really smooth and I loved. And that was the beginning of the end, as a defiant Styles fights out of it, much like Cena did. There's that little bit of fight in him, but in the end, Gunther's able to lock it back in, and Styles passes out. The ref just, again, lightly taps his arm. It goes limp. No, dropping it 1, dropping it 2, dropping it 3. None of that. It's just he's out, and that's it. AJ Styles is retired. In another career-ending performance, Gunther, the ring general, is slowly killing the past. But at the same time, at the cost of AJ not having a full year. I get the nice symmetry of the bookends of he started his career at the Royal Rumble 2026. Not 2026. That's when he ends his Rumble appearance. He began his WWE run at the Royal Rumble 2016 and now ends it at the Royal Rumble 2026. I get that. But I really wish we could have had a full year Styles. But knowing WWE, they wouldn't have given it. Look at how they treated Cena's last year. They probably wouldn't have given AJ the same respect that they didn't give Cena. And it just, for me, I never got to see AJ Styles perform live. And I was hoping that this year I would be, but some things aren't meant to be. Before we get into the next match, we did get a commercial for the new WWE 2K26 game, which does look good, with 4 different versions to buy. Of course, 3 out of the 4 needed to feature Triple H. Remember, it's not all about him. He's just humble. It's a new era. It's not about him, guys. Ignore the fact that he's on 3 out of the 4 of these covers, and they're the most expensive versions of the game. The next match was Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn for the WWE Championship. The best way to describe this match was standard, and I don't mean that in a negative way, because it's far from being bad. It was a standard championship match with a simple story of Sami is undefeated wrestling in Saudi, so can he win the WWE Championship here, or can Drew overcome the hometown advantage and become Sami's first loss here? Or give Sami his first loss, I should say. The match saw Sami get the upper hand early on, with a hot run leading to him hitting a dive on the outside onto Drew, but landing awkwardly, jerking his back, giving Drew the perfect target, and laid out the rest of the match, with Sami having a target on his back being his actual back, with Drew slowly working over Sami, including 3 back-to-back DDTs, and after a Claymore once, evading the haluva kicks from Sami, leading to Drew getting in the face of the ref. And even now, as champion, Drew is blaming others for his faults. This hypocritical, crazed Drew McIntyre is great, and that This allows Sammy to get a little bit of a comeback before Drew just goes into a blind rage, leading to the finish where on the outside Drew power bombs Sammy through the announce table with all hope lost for Sammy. He's able to, for one last ditch effort, once they're back in the ring, lands an explosive suplex and lines up for another haluva kick, but it's a claymore to finally put Sammy away as Drew retains his championship. Now, that means Sammy finally lost in Saudi. It was eventually going to happen. And once again, trips at the hurdle of winning the WWE Championship. Now, for me, this is confirmation that next year we'll see Sammy be crowned WWE champion at WrestleMania 43 as it's taking place in Saudi. This may age very poorly by next year, but we'll wait and see. But that's how I feel as of now. Like I said, standard match, nothing wrong with that. Before we get to the main event of the Men's Royal Rumble itself, we did get a quick recap of what went down on the pre-show panel as Paul Heyman confronted Adam Pearce about the fact that Bron Breakker is number 2 and the fact that that's unfair and all that, setting up what's to come. Something else that's worth mentioning before we get to the actual Men's Rumble, throughout the night we got to see past winners of the Rumble as it flashed up a picture of them with the year they won it. In the last batch before the match itself, we got shown the winner of the 1999 Royal Rumble, who was Vince McMahon himself, once again showing him back on screens. Are they really testing the waters to see how the reaction is, to see if they can bring him back? I don't know. I don't want him back at all. And that's not me. I don't want to get into any of the situation with him. It's more of the last few years with him being involved and, you know, him looking creative was goddamn awful. I'll take this current booking that isn't great over anything that Vince did in the last couple of years of his run. 1,000,000%. Anyway, it's time for the final match of the night and the men's 2026 Royal Rumble. The first two entrants in this year's men's Rumble were Obafemi at entry number 1 and the previously announced Bron Breakker at entry number 2. But Breakker didn't even get a chance, as before he reached the ring, as he was coming down the ramp, a masked man who jumps him, taking him out with a super kick and, more importantly, a stomp, giving the impression it is Seth Rollins, even though it isn't him, and the person under the mask resembles more like Logan Paul than Seth. This is probably what it'll be revealed as. It'll be somebody in the Vision is working with Seth to take down Breakker. Because of the surprise attack, Breakker wasn't ready. When the match began, allows Oba just to shock eliminate him straight away. Bron Breakker, one of the favourites, and I did say this in my rundown, as much as I didn't feel like it was going to be him, I wanted it to be him. He's out. He's the first eliminated in this Rumble. Now, it depends. If this gets a good follow-up, it might be worth doing this. Otherwise, this was a waste and yet again another fumble of Breaker. On the other hand, this did great for Femi, who began a dominant run as he just eliminates entrants number 3, 4, 5, and 6. At this point, it seems like they're going to give Femi the big Brock Lesnar Royal Rumble 2020 run where he eliminated 13 people, to the point where they actually put it up on the graphic of he's got 5 eliminations. Brock has the record at 13. Will Femi eliminate more? Will he break the record? And he doesn't. That was basically it, which was a bit disappointing. He eliminates 5 guys, which is great, and then he just kind of blends in until a bit later where something big happens. Then we got Javon at number 8, who ends up being the Iron Man of the match, clocking in at 41 minutes, surviving several near-miss eliminations throughout the match. Next came our first surprise appearance, if you can call it a surprise appearance, if AAA guys are technically under your company. But anyway, it's entry number 9. It's Mr. Iguana, who comes out to 0 reaction because, again, the Saudi crowd do not know who these guys are. They only know the big names. But it did get a good old chuckle as Mr. Iguana comes out as Wade shouts, "It's a puppy! It's a puppy!" It's a nice reference to the older British fans, which doesn't last long though, but just long enough to get double choke slammed by Damian Priest with La Yesca. And then as entry number 11 comes out, number 10 comes out, is Trick Williams, who then immediately eliminates Mr. Iguana. And it's at this point where similarities may mirror the women's match, where the women's match had a strong final third and a weaker first 2 thirds. The men's rumble this year was the flipped. It had a strong first 2 thirds, and then the last third was the weaker part. Like I said, Trick at number 10 receives a great reaction, only for number 1 again. Yes, they did it again, the exact same botch, with number 11 for some reason being shown on the graphic as number 1, Cody Rhodes is at number 11. Cody comes down and gets a great reaction, immediately eliminates Trick, which is a bit of a disappointment as you just eliminated one of your most hot up-and-comers and he gets the short end of the stick in this match. Really? Okay. But then next came my personal favourite thing in this whole match as a whole, as at entry number 12 is El Grande Americano, with only for entry number 3 to be the original El Grande Americano, making his grand return from injury with added beard to come down, confront the other Americano, doing the Spider-Man meme. They battle towards the ropes and end up both getting eliminated very shortly afterwards. What was, for me, like I said, very enjoyable little moment. It's fine. It's harmless. This is what the first 2/3 of the Rumble is, up until like the halfway point. You can do these sort of things, and as much as I know where this is leading, I don't think it has the it's not going to be able to stretch it out until WrestleMania. But for this moment itself, loved it. As we've got another case of the Saudi crowd being completely clueless, as entry number 14 is the debuting former AEW Trios champion Powerhouse Hobbs, now going as Royce Keys. And despite an underwhelming reaction from the crowd, commentary put him over big time, even calling him Powerhouse Hobbs to begin with. He eliminates Damian Priest straight away, which I'm up for them having a feud. As well as we got the face-off between him and Cody, two former AEW stars, in the Rumble. But again, zero reaction because the Saudi crowd don't know anything else except for WWE, and that's all they care about. Then we got the rest of the division came across in the next few entrants, dominating the match, getting multiple eliminations, including a surprise appearance from Triple A's La Parka, who, like his fellow Triple A friend, Mr. Iguana, received zero reaction. But it's cool to see La Parka in the Rumble. But entry number 20 definitely received a reaction, as a returning LA Knight targets the Vision, who took him out about a couple of months ago, ended up eliminating both Theory and Bronson Reed single-handedly, but for some reason didn't eliminate Logan Paul. Yeah. Oh, fair enough spot. I get it, you know. They took out Knight, so Knight gets his revenge in the Rumble, fair enough. But it's around this point where things start to dip in quality for me, and this is where it goes from having really strong two first thirds into the weaker final third for me, as we got Brock Lesnar at number 21 doing what Lesnar does best, destroying the field before coming face to face with Oba, only for it to get interrupted, leading to a fun spot for me where Dragunov starts chopping Lesnar in the corner, screaming his face over and over as he's chopping, only for Lesnar to no-sell it and just scream in Dragunov's face, who just stands there shocked and then just gets thrown over the top rope. This then, but it is a bit of an awkward elimination for Dragunov. This then leads to Oba and Lesnar actually coming to blows briefly, with Oba standing tall, only for Brock to dump him over the top rope, eliminating Oba. It's then, sadly, and this is officially where the match drops in quality for me, as it's entry number 25 is last year's Rumble winner Jey Uso, for no reason at all, has to do his full entrance through the crowd, coming out, yeeting all his way down. It's during this entrance it's during his entrance that the cameras are fully on him all the time, that Brock Lesnar gets eliminated by Cody Rhodes and LA Knight, in what was a mirror image of Scott Steiner getting eliminated in the same fashion in the 2004 Royal Rumble. It's just, oh yeah, and Brock got eliminated. Whoop-de-doo. That's Brock Lesnar. However you feel about him, fair enough, but he is still one of the most biggest stars in the company ever. Why do you treat that like it's a minor thing? This led to entry number 26 being Roman Reigns, who didn't waste any time getting into the ring and wiping everyone out. And that's an important thing. Jay got to the ring as the next entrant was coming out. That's how long it took him. And that is so frustrating. And is why Jay is not for me. Now, with Roman now in the match, we then got a face-off between him and Cody, only for number 27. Jacob Fatu to cause Cody to shift focus onto him, leading to the two being later eliminated by Drew, who intervenes, involving himself, Claymore and Cody when he's over the top rope, eliminating him and distracting Jacob, ensuring neither of them would win and challenge him at WrestleMania. Which is great. I love that. And it's clearly setting up, hopefully, a triple threat at WrestleMania of Jacob Fatu, Cody Rhodes, and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Then we got the last three of Patriot number 27, Randy Orton 28, and number 30. It's not Chris Jericho, but the man that just retired, AJ Styles, which also got a great reaction from the crowd, considering what he had done earlier in the night. The Iron Man performance goes to Javon, obviously lasting 41 minutes, like I said, and entering at number 8, only for him to go for the OG cutter off the top rope and get caught by an RKO by Randy, eliminating him, which is a nice payoff as that when they had their match in NXT, he messed up the OG cutter into the RKO, so it's nice for the fact that they got it this time. And with that, we reached the final four of this year's Rumble, which is Roman Reigns, Gunther, Randy Orton, and somehow Logan Paul, yet again. Logan always makes it to this stage of the match. Why? But luckily for everyone, he didn't last long. Neither did Randy, as both of them got eliminated very shortly after it came down to the last four. This leaving Roman and Gunther as our final two of this year's Rumble. But sadly, this was nowhere near Gunther and Cody, as it was a bit underwhelming, as it was just Gunther trying to lock in the sleeper before succeeding, and then having Roman escape, hit him with a spear before throwing Gunther out. So your winner of the 2026 Men's Royal Rumble is Roman Reigns, to little surprise, as he was the clear favourite and they've been pushing him to be the main event of WrestleMania since Survivor Series, and it's his second Rumble win after 11 years ago in the famous 2015 Royal Rumble. This men's year Rumble, like I said, was very similar to the women's in the fact that they had strong moments in the match, but overall was fine, average. Like I said, the first 2/3 of this men's Rumble was really strong, and then it ended on a weaker note. But it did, like I said, have some good moments. In conclusion, the Royal Rumble 2026 is a mix of a fine and average show. Definitely stronger than Survivor Series the previous year, the previous PLE, which is a good thing, I guess. Starting off with the Women's Rumble, which was nowhere near one of the worst Women's Rumbles. That goes to 2022's one, but it didn't stand out
except for the final couple of minutes.
And having Liv win was the right choice considering who was in the match itself. Then we got
AJ Styles retirement match,
which, considering considering what else was on the card, definitely the best match of the night, but
really lacked
the build to what should have been a huge moment for me.
And without that build,
and the limp
arm just being
tapped, and then that's to finish the match.
Yeah,
it's hard,
that one. Then Sammy and
Drew, like I said, was what it needed to be. Get Sammy on the show, establish Drew's title reign, and like I said, I think next year will be Sammy's crowning moment as champion
at WrestleMania. Which then brings me on to the men's
match, like I just said. Very similar to the women's.
Nowhere near the worst
match, the
Rumble they've ever done.
But nowhere near the best. It's nothing special. It's
definitely a step down
from last year's Rumble. Despite the winner being Jay, I personally thought last year's Royal Rumble was awesome.
Great match. But yeah, in the end, it just was a bit of a step down. So I hope you've enjoyed this
video. Please check out my other videos, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.